Winning has a price. And leadership has a price. So I pulled people along when they didn't want to be pulled. I challenge people when they don't want to be challenged. And I earned that right because my teammates came after me. They didn't endure all the things that I endured. Michael Jordan was down in pain. Michael Jordan.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
free smoke.
Look, scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver, pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Kickin with Saint. Listen, we got a lot of shit to talk about today. How's everybody doing today, yo? How dope is the yo? I'm gonna tell you right now, I am about to roll up in the background, so you're gonna hear some noises in the beginning of this video. But don't worry, it won't last long. But we got a lot of shit to talk about today, yo. How dope was the day? Yo, for all my people out there who roll Leafs, you gotta fuck with the Game Leaf Darks. I don't know what flavor those is. I don't even think that's a certain flavor. Like, they probably the same flavor as like the naturals. The difference is all them shits is basically rollable. Like, none of them is. I haven't got one that's stale, and I done bought like two boxes of them. None of them done been stale. All of them is like soft and dark, like with the heavier feel to it. Yeah, people who smoke leaves know what I'm talking about. So if you somebody who been searching for a new leaf to smoke, I'm telling you right now, Game Leaf Dark. Fuck that Game Leaf pineapple shit. Them shits is never fresh. Cause I know right now people who smoke leaves, a lot of us smoke the White Russians or Russian creams. You know, if you're a backwood person, it's called Russian cream. If you're a Game Leaf person, it's called it's called White Russian. And those two flavors is the ones that we get most of the time with leaves, because those usually the freshest ones. Plus they got the best taste to them. But outside of that, all the other ones trash to me. Like Wild Berry Game Leafs used to be a good leaf to roll. Then them shits was stale all the time. I hate the cognac ones. Cognac the worst, bro. I was in the store today and I saw a pack of cognac Game Leafs, the 5-pack. I was like, yo, whoever be buying cognac Game Leafs, because usually every store that I go into, the one Game Leaf that's constantly on the shelf, like it's religiously on the shelf. Like if you just don't give a fuck about it, if you just need a leaf and no store got any type of leaves, right, you could go to this one and know for a fact they was gonna have a cognac Game Leaf, because that's the only fucking flavor that was always on the shelf, because nobody fucking smoked cognac Game Leafs. And it's so funny because me and my homies, when we first started smoking leaves, we smoked cognac Game Leafs, right? And then as I was smoking them, cognac Game Leafs is what made me not like leaves at first. Because at first, when we first started smoking leaves, obviously we started off with the cigarillos like most folks. But when I started smoking leaves, the first one that my homie introduced me to was the cognac flavor. Bro, I hated that flavor so much. Like, and I didn't recognize that it was the cognac flavor that I hated until one day that was the only flavor we got, right? And I was like, man, this got to be like the nastiest fucking I was like, this got to be the nastiest fucking leaf I've ever like smoked, like by far. And then the more and more I was smoking with people, bruh, who smoked leaves and smoked cognac leaves, the more and more I was realizing, like, yo, nobody fuck with these cognac leaves. I remember one time going into my homeboy house, and we was about to roll up, and he had a cognac gang leaf, and I looked at it real weird. I was like, damn, that's all you got? He was like, hell yeah, I hate these motherfuckers too. You got something else? I was like, hell yeah, boy, I got some shits in my car right now. I said, I hate cognac game leaves, bro. He said, me too, bro. He said, these shits is disgusting. Dead ass. Cognac game leaves overpower what you rolling up, if you know what I'm saying. But I don't even know how I got to talking about Leafs and whatnot. We got a lot of shit to talk about tonight, though. We got to talk about, if I remember, I want to talk about JJ Redick, Patrick Beverley. If I remember. We got to talk about no NFL talk, I don't believe. Listen, and I also didn't watch that match shit. But I saw the report that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers won. Goat Brady won. But I don't believe I'm going to talk about that either. Not going to be a lot of NFL talk, if any. Listen, we're going to get back to the NFL talk, obviously. But right now, we in the full NBA final season, NBA playoff season. So, we're going to get back to the NFL talk eventually. We got to talk about Draymond Green, Kevin Durant. Got to talk about that. And we're supposed to be talking about Boston Celtics keys to victory in this video. Definitely going to talk about that. I want to start off, though, by talking about... I want to revisit Stranger Things, bro. Because I just rewatched Stranger Things season 4. I done watched it twice. I have to address something. Because, one day I get big, this might become an issue. I said in the last video that Will was a weird motherfucker to me. Like, I couldn't understand him. Like, he just had a villain type vibe to me. I just realized that Will was gay, like, in the series, which, this was crazy. I always kind of knew Will was gay, or I don't want to say I knew he was gay, but I always felt like he might have been the character that was eventually going to become gay. Or he was like, not become gay, but like he might have always had these feelings. He just didn't realize it yet or didn't feel confident speaking on it. Like, I always kind of knew that or felt that just based off of his character and how I don't know why, just the writing, I guess. But I always kind of felt that. And this season is, to me, really confirmation, because I think he got a crush on Mike low-key. But I've always thought that he had a crush on Mike. I've always thought that, like, he liked his friends in a different type of way. Like, yeah, they was cool with him, they was his brother. But I felt like once they saved his life, he kind of, his emotions kind of grew. Which is just natural. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see in some of these movies where the main protagonist, the main character that's a dude, save a girl or a woman, they fall in love after the shit. Which is just the stupidest fucking thing. But this is no different. And so, when I was saying this is a tongue fucker. When I was saying Will was weird, it wasn't because he was gay. I could care less that Will is gay. That because I always felt like that was the road he was going down. That literally has never been a basis of my opinions or judgment on Will. Like, him being gay is so irrelevant to me. Him being gay is Mike being straight to me. I could care fucking less. As long as the sexual orientation of a character don't, like, I don't want to, what would I say? Like, I really don't care about the sexual orientations of if the goal of the show is not, like, because every show, I don't mind shows having, like, characters that represent different type of communities and whatnot. Because I had to grow up in an era where damn near every main character, every superhero, every character, top character on the show was a white man or a white woman. You know what I'm saying? We had Denzel and Will Smith. I'm not a Will Smith. I like 2 of his movies. I was more so a fan of the show. You know what I'm saying? So I have absolutely no problem with having different representatives for different sexual orientations and ethnicities. I'm all for that shit. You dig? We need that. Stop getting all this whitewash all over TV and shit. I used to grow up thinking to myself, damn, bro, why is every commercial got just straight white people in it? I dead ass used to think that. And one time I went to school and I remember talking to my homies and I said, bro, y'all ever notice how every time y'all see commercials, and one of them had cut me off and was like, because we had already had this conversation, and they was like just a bunch of white people. I said, nah, but I said, you ever realize that every time you see a black woman in the commercial with her family, she got a white husband? Every time a black man is in the commercial with his family, he got a white wife. You ever notice that? I used to see shit like that growing up. But the goal of the show, if as long as they don't turn the show into, you know, the story of how Will became gay, I guess that, you know, it wouldn't bother me. I mean, I guess that's the only way it would really bother me. And it wouldn't be because he gay. It would be because, like, yo, this was not supposed to be a show about how my man's got gay. Now, if they handle that in a subplot or dedicate multiple episodes with that as one of the plots or one of the things, and like they doing, in my opinion, right now, I got no problem with that. And I wouldn't have a problem if that was the main goal of the show. My only problem would be, damn, that's not what I thought this show was going to be about. You know what I'm saying? So basically why I stopped watching Teen Wolf, because Teen Wolf I thought was supposed to be like some type of horror type thing, and it became really just everybody dating each other and shit. It basically became a love show, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to see this bullshit. And then they killing characters that I don't even fucking care about, and then the characters that I like leaving because they realize this show ain't what they thought it was, or at least it ain't the same show that it started out as. But yeah, that type shit, that's the only thing I would say would bother me if that's what they was doing. I don't think that's what they was doing. Bro, I hate that show Teen Wolf so much, bro. That's like one of the shows that, like, I started off and I think I was in high school when that shit came out on MTV. Bro, I remember when Teen Wolf first came out, bro. Me, two of my cousins, and my aunt, bro, we fucking loved that show. The second season came around, and I was the first one who kind of was like, I ain't really feeling this shit. Like, I was like, I'm not, like, I don't not like it, but I definitely don't feel the same way I felt about it last season. And I couldn't figure out what it was. The third season came around, I think that was my last season. And I don't even know if I finished the whole season, but I was like, yeah, I'm done with this shit. And then my aunt followed, and my other two cousins followed. And to this day, when we talk about TV shows that just absolutely drop the ball and let us down, that's one of the first ones we bring up. Is Teen Wolf, yo, on MTV, bro. Like, dead ass. To this day, I'm just like, yo, what a wild left turn. But when it comes to Will in this show, I just wanted to address that, because I realize some people might hear that and be like, oh, well, he think Will is weird. But what a tongue fucker. He think Will weird because he gay. Nah. Nah. I didn't say nothing about Will being gay because I just thought that was a thing that everybody, you know, recognized. But I see this season, I think they're going to make it more prevalent. Also, my biggest reason for saying Will was weird to me and he gave off villain vibes was really how he treated 11, bro. I'm not really digging how he treat 11 in the show, and I don't know why. Well, I see why he treat 11 the way he treat her now, even though I kind of wasn't fucking with it at first, because I'm like, damn, bro, you went through the type of shit you went through. You should understand what 11 going through. Like, I would not imagine you would be hating on 11. But now I realize he like Mike, and he want Mike, and he want to basically paint 11 out to be basically like a super villain. That's how he done planted it in his mind. Like, she lies to you, and you know what I'm saying? Like, he don't see that 11 is trying to impress her boyfriend, the love of her life, because he want the love of her life. So I get that now. I see why he looked like a villain to me. That was my whole thing, bro. I didn't understand why he was treating 11 the way he was treating her, bro. Because I got like a soft spot for 11, bro. I'm like, damn, bro. You see all this bullshit. Oh, yo, and I understand the ending and shit. Now, that's why you gotta watch ending explain videos and shit, yo. People spoiling shit is not a problem. If I had to watch that ending, okay, so I would have never watched the ending explain before I watched Stranger Things. So I'm not even gonna sit here and cap to you like that. It is a lot of things that I will watch a review for before I actually watch the thing. Stranger Things ain't one of them. Those are actually one of the The last true sanctities of that I have, if that even makes sense. I do watch Stranger Things before I watch the breakdowns of Stranger Things, because I fuck with Stranger Things. I truly think Stranger Things is one of the greatest shows I've ever watched. I'm never gonna put it over Parks and Recreation, because Parks and Recreation to me is the greatest show of all time. The only thing I don't have a complaint for Parks and Rec, because there was a black character who was great, whose role got to grow over the series. It was an Indian or Pakistani man in Aziz Ansari, whose role was big from the rip, but grew over the time. Like, it wasn't a show with just a shit ton of white people. Rashida Jones, an African American woman. You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, the show was. Now, I do wish sometimes that maybe they had a black male character, and I'm trying to think, am I overlooking a black male character? I can't be, because they would have. I know Donna's husband, Keegan Michael Key, or however, whatever his name is, who was on Key and Peele. I know he was her husband in the last season or whatever, but he wasn't a regular on the show. I'm trying to think, was it a regular that was a black character on the show? That a black male? I don't think so. I would have loved to see a dynamic with a black male character that was like a comedic character, but from the streets. That would have been hilarious. Trying to turn his life around, working with the Parks and Rec department. That would have been so fire, seeing how he changed his life around those type of influences. Like, Parks and Recreation was one of the few shows I think I ever watched. And I'm gonna just be honest with you. I have never really watched a ton of shows that's like a shit ton of white people on it, because that's just not what I can relate to. So I've never really been a huge fan. And not fan in a bad way, just no show or sitcom that's just like about white families. Like, I don't watch Modern Family. I have never watched Modern Family. I've never watched Roseanne. I've never watched none of those type shows that's like white families, because I can't relate to that. I watch shit with black families, you know what I'm saying? Sanford and Son, Family Matters, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. It's just, that's how I grew up. Nobody who I grew up in the houses I grew up in, and my mom, and we wasn't watching Roseanne and shit like that on TV, you know what I'm saying? But it's no offense to those shows, it's just not the shit that I grew up watching. You know what I'm saying? But damn, I lost track of what I was even talking about, going on that little tirade. I know some motherfuckers like, man, when is he gonna talk about sports? Might be a minute, my G. But listen. Back to the Stranger Things, because I forgot what I was on. Oh, I remember what it was. Parks and Rec, one of the few shows that feel like it ain't got a bunch of white people trying to push white people. In a sense that, like, it just is so different, bro. Like, it's like, it don't feel like a show that's just like glorifying, praising, pushing white culture and shit like that. It don't feel like that. And I think that's what's so fire. When you have that many white people on a cast, and it don't never feel like a black man watching that show like, man, this shit too white for me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't never felt like that. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about, man. I know some people gonna be like, oh, that's racist. Alright, buddy. That's one of the biggest compliments I can give Parks and Recreation, aside from the fact that I done said multiple times that's the greatest show of all time. But it just, that show never felt like the target audience was just white people. It never felt like that. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons, if not probably, it's one of the biggest reasons I love the show. I done seen so many shows where you got these small role characters that's African American or some other type of race that either get killed off eventually, phased out of the series, or their roles never truly grow. Donna's role grew, Rashida Jones' role grew. Rashida Jones basically became a main character. Aziz Ansari was basically a main character or sub-main character throughout the entirety of the series. Like, it was so many different cultures that was represented on. And could they have done better? Every show can do better. Obviously, Seinfeld is a different story. Like, that's another show. People talk about how great Seinfeld is. I've never watched an episode of Seinfeld in my life. Actually, let me take that back. I've watched two episodes of Seinfeld in my life. And after watching both of them, I said to myself, bro, what the fuck is so funny about this? Because I didn't laugh one time. Because that wasn't my type of humor. Maybe to some other people it was hilarious. That's not me saying it, Buddy ain't funny. That's just me saying that the show wasn't for me. But, getting back to Stranger Things. I don't think Stranger Things push a weird narrative on, I'm getting away. Listen, I just wanted to come back and address the Will Myers thing, bro. That was basically the whole thing of it. When I had said he kind of weird to me, I instantly thought to myself when I went back and watched the show again, I was like, you know what? Some people might think that I thought he was weird because he gay. And I could give two fucks less if he is gay or not. Gay, straight, non-binary, LGBT. I don't give a flying fuck. I was talking about based on the show, this dude give off villain vibes. And now that I realize that motherfucker trying to steal Mike from 11, bro, they gotta capitalize on this shit and make Will even, bro. I would love to see Will go, cause I don't want to see I don't know. I just think that's not the goal of the show either. But boy, it'd be a hell of a subplot. But I would in the end I would go for 11 to win that. Just to point that out. I see some people think Steve gonna die this year on the show too. Steve, one of my favorite characters on the show, I think. Let me think. Who my favorite characters on the show? 11 is my favorite character because I just think she is masterful. I understand Millie Bobby Brown is the one who played her, but I'm just talking about, I think that character is acted and played and written so great. My first problem with 11 was this season, because I felt like she should have matured past, you know what I'm saying, what she is, the crying and shit like that. But to an extent, I can still kind of understand it just because of her situation and knowing her, past and whatnot. I'm just sympathetic, and I'm always like, that's the thing where Stranger Things always gonna win, is because I'm probably always gonna have this sympathy or this sympathetic type of feel towards 11. Jane. I hate that fucking name. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I like L or 11 way better than Jane. Jane just sounds so basic white girl after calling her and I understand we found out her name was Jane a couple seasons ago or whenever it was we found out about her mother and all that shit, but I've never called her that, bro. And when I went back and watched the season this season and saw the name Jane, and I saw so many people using her name in these reviews, I was like, that is her fucking name, ain't it? I hate that so much. The only Jane that I respect, the only Jane where the name fit right is Jane from Tarzan, bro. Not to mention, I'm not getting into that. But 11 and L is far better names. I really wish they stopped calling her fucking Jane. But yeah, she easily my favorite character on the show. My second favorite character on the show is probably a split between I cannot believe Mike and Lucas. Is my they split down the middle for my two. My third one is Steve and Dustin, I think is his name. I don't think his name is Dustin. I can't remember my man's name at the moment, but I know a lot of people like those two the most. 11 and Lucas and Mike is easily my favorite. For one, I got this Mike meme stuck in my head that's hilarious to me, where he throwing up the middle finger and shit. But two, I just think Mike got also a well-written character. Like I really think that he probably one of the better written characters on the show also. Like, a lot of the characters, if not all of them, are written very well. Mike's character is just a very fascinating character to me. It's because, like, he's so smart, it feel like. He don't care about being a nerd or nothing like that. So he's very mature in himself. Like, he does not care about how other people see him. I really fucking like Mike, bro. I like his character. I also like Lucas's character because I think he is about the same. Like, Lucas and Mike just give off very mature vibes for their age. Obviously, Lucas is a little bit immature with that. I want to be a cool, but that's just a natural thing that, you know, kids and people in high school and shit go through. That's natural. Mike not caring about that is super rare. That he could care less about what other people see him as. That is super rare for somebody his age. So I'm not putting that on Lucas like, oh man, he shouldn't care. No. That's a natural thing. But other than that, I mean, that, not even other than that, because like I said, that's just natural for high school. I just think those two is probably my 2 second favorite characters, tied for second. I can't make a decision over. Mike have so many good lines to me, bro, where it's like, yo, this motherfucker is a great character. Like, even him talking to Elle, where he like, yo, why would you think that? Where did you get that? That was also a great scene, because it was her basically emotions growing over time, because she never thought, he never put I love you at the end of it, and so that constantly built up in her head over time. And then this one situation, how he looked at her, in her mind it blew all up, and then she addressed it. Bro, that was a great scene. Like, that's great writing, because that is so realistic, bro. Like, that is so realistic. If they, and I'm glad they didn't even have to play no dumbass montage of her getting the letters in the past to play it up. The Saint, she pick up all the letters. Sincerely, Mike, from. I'm like, yo, this fucking scene is fucking fire. That's some great writing right there. That's some great writing. And Mike played that scene so, like, both of them, obviously, you know how I feel about it. They fucking massacred that scene, bro. Like, they massacred that scene. And Lucas, to me, massacres so many fucking scenes that he is in. Whether it be him with Sadie Sink, the actress who plays Max. Like I said, I don't think she a bad character or nothing. I'm not a super fan of how they kind of if and on with her. I just don't think. I think she a poorly written character at times. And I think a lot of people think she had a great season because of that one scene. It was a great scene. I think the music helped the scene more so than the acting helped the scene. Because right after the scene, like when she back and she holding on to Lucas and whatnot, she talk like, I guess it do make sense for her character to be the one who reassure Lucas rather than Lucas reassuring her that, like, yo, you back, we got you, because he the one who just saved her. She not the one who just saved herself. Because her being cut off and whatnot. And I guess that's one of the things of why when I deep dive into it, I'm not really a huge fan of the character of Max's writing at times, because I'm like, I understand her being independent and whatnot, but I would think at some point in time she would get out of that, and it don't feel like no situation is ever going to get her out of that. And maybe that's just how the character is written. And if that's how the character is written, to just never accept love or anybody's kindness or anything like that, then that sucks for Lucas, because I don't want them to write him as a character that's never going to move on from her, even though that is realistic that he probably would have lingering feelings for her, even though she clearly not going to ever be emotionally where he is right now or where he need her to be. And I know some people will be like, well, he just got to hold on and wait for it. Yeah, that's just, I'm sorry, honey, that is fictional. A lot of times nobody waits for anybody. My ex told me she was gonna wait for me to grow up. She walked off and had 2 kids, so now 3 or 4. So nobody, and I didn't even ask her to wait. I'm just telling you what she told me. She told me she would wait for me to mature and grow up, and she came back with 2-3 kids. So nobody does that. I'm just giving you a personal example so you can know. Nobody, that does not happen. I probably done told people, wait for me to mature, and I ain't called them back yet. So that just does not happen normally. That's all I'm saying. But to me, I understand her being a strong character and whatnot, but that scene was just so wild to me that, like, when you get saved, you like, I'm back. Like, I don't need you to reassure me. Let me reassure you, bro. Let me have this one moment to be able to reassure you, bro. Like, I don't think that was too much to ask for in that scene. But, you know, maybe I'm nitpicking. Who knows? But let's get into this motherfucking basketball. So, listen. Start off with the Draymond Green and Kevin Durant thing, because I actually want to blow past that. I don't really want to spend a shit ton of time talking about that. it happened though, so let's talk about it. Shit crazy, people want me to talk about it. But Draymond Green was on Colin Cowherd's podcast on the Volume Network on YouTube, the Volume channel. And he basically just was defending Steph. Basically saying Steph doesn't need finals MVPs, personal trophies to validate his career. And I don't think he was shitting on Kevin Durant in the slightest. He just said, listen, for the people who continuously say he was bad, for one, people who continuously push this narrative that Steph Curry is bad in the finals, those are just morons who, like Draymond said, don't know basketball. They just know how to read a stat sheet. But he was basically just, saying Steph got double teamed 7 times as much as Kevin Durant. Now listen, let's talk about exaggeration. Because some people are saying, well, the reason he lied is because it's exaggerating the truth. If Draymond had said Curry got double teamed 100 times as much as Durant, that's exaggerating. That's basically a lie. That's where we say, okay, bro, that's just straight up a lie now. That's where you exaggerate too far. Then you got, if he had said, Curry got double teamed about 20 times as much as Kevin Durant. That's when you would be like, okay, now that's a bit of an exaggeration, a bit of a stretch. You know what I'm saying? It's not that he lying, but come on, man, that about 20 times, and that's where he say, okay, not 20 times, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? The first one you would be like, okay, bro, you just straight up lying, because that's damn near dick riding right there. The first one, 100 times. For Draymond to say he got double teamed about 7 times as much as Durant, when in actuality he probably got double teamed 4, 5, 6 times, 7 times as much as Durant, that's not an exaggeration. As a matter of fact, you ask some people, that's underselling it. To me, that's Draymond trying to undersell it and be as kind as possible, trying to be as transparent as possible with his answer without trying to disrespect or intentionally disrespect Kevin Durant. The thing is, Kevin Durant hear his name, and that motherfucker show up. I saw somebody on the show today say he like the Candy Man. You say a motherfucker name 2 times and he pop up. Yeah, that is KD at this point. But what Draymond said was not an exaggeration. You would call that, well, yes, you can call it a bit of an exaggeration, but that type of exaggeration is what most people do to get the truth across. It's not necessarily them lying or over exact. It's helping get the point across. If I was playing somebody one-on-one, or we had a team game, right, and somebody went for 28 points, and motherfuckers like, man, that motherfucker dropped he dropped down to 30 on him. Motherfuckers wouldn't say, well, salty motherfuckers was like, he didn't drop 30, he dropped 28. And then another motherfucker would be like, okay, 2 less than 30, he basically dropped 30 on you. That's not somebody exaggerating. That's somebody getting the point home that you just got your ass dropped off by this motherfucker who went and laced your ass up for 28, probably could have had 30 plus if we gave him the ball a little bit more. That's not called exaggerating. That's selling you the truth, getting you to understand the truth. That's basically helping the truth. If Draymond had said 100 times, 20 times, I understand what you're getting at. I understand what you're saying. He didn't do that. Now, so I had no problem with what Draymond Green was saying. Also, Draymond Green is very transparent and is very well-spoken when he speaks. So that's that. And then Kevin Durant's responses. From where I'm sitting, that's 100% a lie, and all these other type of things. I don't know how KD think that's a lie, because it's very clearly not a lie. I really don't know how to respond off of KD's responses other than that's very clearly not a lie. And to me, this is a bigger issue, because I truly feel like KD constantly feel like he being slighted. But I also think it's a mixture of him feeling he being slighted and he have a super ego, which a lot of people in KD's position would have. I have no problem with that. It's about understanding you have said ego and knowing how to control it and whatnot. KD don't come out and speak when people talk good about him. Only when people speak bad. I always find that funny. You don't tell people thank you for being nice to you, but you go at people who want to irritate you. That's always a weird thing. But I think KD as much as he say he don't care about shit the media say and things of that nature, I really think he do to a certain extent. And I don't blame him for that, because that's natural. You know what I'm saying? I think some of these ignorant narratives and some of the stories and some of the stupid shit that the media say and talk about, the sports media, I agree that, bro, you cannot help but respond and feel a certain type of way when you got to hear these motherfuckers do this on a weekly basis, daily basis, 365 days out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many fucking days of the week he got to listen somehow to the, even if he ain't searching for it, motherfuckers gonna send it to him. So I do get eventually, you know, listening to this shit and, you know, feeling some type of way. But here, I guess this is where I'm confused at. I don't think, you know, KD hates Steph or anything like that, but I do think he have a natural, you know, off feeling about Steph. And it's funny because I don't think Steph created it, as far as like with anything he said about KD or anything like that. But because you got the media who say he was never going to be the man in Golden State, because you got the media who say, oh, your 2 rings in Golden State didn't matter, because you got the media who say, oh, this dude left Steph Curry to go play with Kyrie, because you got the media who say, oh, if Kevin Durant never win another championship without Steph Curry, then his career didn't, you know, because you got all these different type of people saying all this wild off the wall shit, whether some of it be true, factual, false, biased, whatever it may be. You have all of that shit coming at you all the time, because I think that's those type of things that's said all the time. He hearing this type shit. That's how this natural, like, I gotta prove that I'm better than Steph Curry type shit come in from. Now, Kevin Durant, you ask him, he could say he don't feel like that, he just want to hoop, blah, blah, blah. And I would say, cool. I mean, I have no reason to doubt what you're saying. But many people, many times have said the exact same thing, and through their actions, they have proven they do feel a certain type of way. It's just a natural thing. And so I think because Kevin Durant don't listen to the media so much, it's funny because Kevin Durant, I hear people talk on a regular basis that Kevin Durant is so much greater than Steph Curry, and I guess he just don't hear those reports. But yeah, I just feel like Kevin Durant, I thought he just, you know, like fucking with people online. You know, this is the same dude who said he just like to smoke weed and play video games. I'm high right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I dig that. But I guess to me this situation is kind of like you dating somebody for so long, right? And you left them because you felt like they wasn't good enough and you could do better. Or you just felt like this had run its course and you felt like it was better out there for you. Whatever reason you left, you leave. Two years later, or however many years later, the same person you felt like you could do better than and wasn't good enough done upgraded. They look way better now. They got somebody who got they about to get married. You're gonna feel some type of way, especially if you still single, running through relationships, haven't found nobody since then, going to bed lonely every night. But now you see her or him in a whole new situation that looks like it's beneficial and doing better than what you was doing, and they about to get married. You're going to naturally feel some type of way because they upgraded in your mind now. You wanted to see them not doing as good, and I think it's a natural thing there, because as a human being, that's just natural. So now listen, it do take certain people to not be like that. And I do think if Kevin Durant truly said he was like that, I would believe him, because I mean, if you rich, it would be, to me, if you rich, it's so easy to not give a fuck about so many meaningless problems. And I dumb it down to like broke people problems. I already know for 1,000,000% fact, the day that I become rich to where I'm financially stable, can take care of my family and whatnot, not have to worry about a check or nothing like that, I know there's problems that I just will no longer engage in. I just know, because I don't engage in certain problems now, and I'm broke. It's just problems that I just will never see myself engaging in because of my financial status. It's not that I think I'm better than you. It's just because of the financial status I have right now, this situation is not beneficial for me. I'm rich enough to where now this is a problem that I just do not give a fuck about. So Kevin Durant said he was like that, I could believe him. But I just think it's natural that for Kevin Durant, I mean, it's the same dude who called himself the God, which I love. But there's no way he left Golden State thinking or hoping, yeah, this team will get back to multiple championships or get back to another championship and be good without me. They might be good without me, but they won't win a championship without me. And if that was his way of thinking, which I truly think it was at a point in time, like he might have wished they were still going to be good and whatnot, but he didn't want them to succeed on this level without him. Now that's probably something I'm dug in on that's impossible for me to believe. Like, you can want them to have success and whatnot. You don't want them winning championships or winning a ring without you. And I just think naturally Kevin Durant realizing that all of this is coming upon him. He pay attention to Twitter and the media, so he know the different type of stories that eventually come out there. Steph Curry better than Kevin Durant. Whose legacy better? Did the Warriors ever really need Kevin Durant? A lot of things are going to start coming out, and I think Kevin Durant understand that, and he know that. And if Kevin Durant never win another championship, if he never get to another finals, it's going to get crazy out there. And I think Kevin Durant know that. And as much as there's people in the media right now who just do not like the Warriors for whatever reason, you got Kendrick Perkins out here who constantly on TV going at Draymond Green. I don't know why ESPN is so petty. I swear to you, bro, growing up, I was always taught that, like, females were, drama filled and they love starting drama. The older I done got and the longer I done I've lived, I've come to the realization that drama starters are not a gender specific type thing. Men and women alike like to start drama and shit, because over the last year or so, all the drama I've seen take place was started by a man. Like, straight up. And every day I get on Twitter, it feel like it's men and boys and young men starting drama or engaging in drama, instigating drama on a regular basis, like they the real husbands of Twitter. This shit is ridiculous. Like, I'm telling you, bro, I was always told drama is a female trait. That could not be further from the fucking truth at this very moment. From where I'm sitting, it's 100% false, big dog. But I think naturally Kevin Durant, you gotta think to yourself, like, man, these motherfuckers succeeding without me. All this shit gonna hit him at once. And I feel like truly, like I said, if he never get back to another one, win another one, that's gonna, that's gonna be a lot of things coming. Now, I'm one of the people who already felt like Steph Curry was the greater player all time. To me, Steph Curry and LeBron James, the greatest players of this generation. And if I had to rank somebody next, it would be Giannis. But that don't take away Kevin Durant's greatness. See, I think the biggest problem in this whole thing is, like I said, the media and whatnot. And Kevin Durant got to stop listening to these motherfuckers, because listening to it, if you're around toxicity for so long, you don't have to be a toxic person, but eventually that shit do rub off on you eventually. It's like Paul George was completely different than the Paul George that was in OKC before he got to OKC. Because he was around Russell Westbrook for so long, some of Russell Westbrook mannerisms started to rub off on him. Paul George was never argumentative and, going at it with the media. He got to OKC. Russell Westbrook was a dude who did that shit on a regular basis. So he began to do that shit on a regular basis. That's not who Paul George is. That's just naturally something he started doing over time. Dwayne Wade, this was so funny. Back then, Dwayne Wade I cannot remember exactly what it was. Dwayne Wade became a very cocky player once he got LeBron. And he wasn't the way he was, the cocky levels he showed with Bron, he didn't show. And I don't have no problem with this, bro. Like, I just want to point that out. I have absolutely hey, we winning. You should feel cocky, my boy. Make them motherfuckers hate you. If you hate me so much, beat me, motherfucker. Like, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for it. But I think because you have a media that, say so many things that's going, especially if all this shit happened. So fuck Kevin Durant for a second, and I'm not saying fuck Kevin Durant, but take him out of the equation. Because the problem to me is the media. And I done said it so many times, bro. You got these dudes on TV. Like, you get a Max Kellerman who like to over-exaggerate Kevin Durant's greatness. Or Steph, or other guys who like to over-exaggerate KD's greatness and undersell Steph's. Or some people you think out there oversell Steph's and undersell KD's, even though I have not seen too many people ever undersell Kevin Durant's greatness. But you got so many people out there who never did it, could never have done it, and if they did, they wasn't good enough, who get to tell you whose legacy is this and that, and who great and who not great, and who gotta prove this and who don't gotta prove that, and they say it like it's the end all be all, like they word is law, like what they say is the defining take and shit like that. And when you listening to motherfuckers like that on a regular basis saying just off the wall outlandish shit for clicks, for views, for ratings, eventually you're gonna get to these points like Kevin Durant. Like if you sitting back with your homeboy listening to him tell you how you did better moving on from that bitch, you know, or you with your homegirl and she like, oh, you did good moving on from that dog and all this, and you see them same motherfuckers out there that you walked away from and was convinced it wasn't shit and you could do better than, doing phenomenal, you're gonna feel some type of way. And I kind of think that's where Kevin Durant is now. I hear people out there, another thing is, I hear people who say like, is Kevin Durant wrong for leaving Golden State? Shit like that is the shit Kevin Durant is listening to. And I think that's kind of why he got this misplaced hate for Curry, which I still don't really truly understand, because you signed with Golden State, bro, knowing that was the man. They drafted this dude. Like, this is their guy that they drafted. It was no way, who brought them a championship and done been to two. It was done won 2 MVPs, 1 unanimous. He done so much for this city. It was no way, and for this franchise, it was no shot you was ever. That's like saying Steph Curry going to OKC being bigger than you in OKC. It was never going to happen. LeBron going to LA being bigger than Kobe. It was never going to happen. Just like you ain't going to Cleveland being bigger than LeBron. It was just never going to happen. LeBron went to Miami. He was the best player on that team. He wasn't bigger than Dwayne Wade. So if that was truly Kevin Durant's thoughts when he, like, if any time he thought to himself he could become bigger than Steph Curry, for one, I just never think, if you truly are thinking about winning as a team and whatnot, that wouldn't even ever matter. Like, who is bigger than, because Steph Curry done shown how selfless you can be and you can still get credit, and people will still, obviously if Steph was more demonstrative and more demanding of the ball and I gotta get mines, sure, the media could talk about him different and people like that. He don't give a fuck. He just want to win. And truly, winning is, because maybe that's why I have it's not a maybe, that's definitely why I have the opinion I have on certain things, certain players, certain organizations and things like that. Because at the end of the day, winning is the main thing. Winning is the most important thing. Listen, winning to me will not define the entirety of a career. So for an example, Charles Barkley not winning a championship is not to me going to define the entirety of his career. Charles Barkley was one of the greats. He is a Hall of Famer, first ballot. Him not winning a championship is not going to change the way I feel about him. But if he did win one, that would definitely change the way I feel about him. Which is why winning is the ultimate thing. Winning a championship ain't taking that. Not winning a championship, I'm not taking nothing away from Charles. Winning a championship is definitely adding to Steph, Durant, Bron, and all these different dudes who won. If Mike never won a championship, didn't win 6, then he wouldn't be the GOAT. The goal is to win. That's how, like I said, winning is the goal. That's how I base everything off of. I'm not using he didn't win a championship to define the entirety of his career. That's not the end all be all, and that's not gonna stain it. But it's definitely gonna help a motherfucker who got it, who led and was the leader, not some 6 man or not somebody who really didn't play a big role. I'm not saying that. But those type of narratives and whatnot, getting back to that, is I think one of the reasons KD feel the way he feel, but it's also a problem with the media. Like I said, you got these dudes who never did it being able to judge these great players' careers and whatnot, saying some of the most outlandish shit. Like, and one of the things that was so funny to me, I didn't get to watch Nick Wright yet, so I don't know if he's did it. But I watched Skip Bayless this morning. I saw a clip from Max Kellerman, and I saw a clip from Perkins when they addressed the Draymond Green interview with Colin Cowherd, where he said nothing wild or wrong or outlandish. Both of them, all three of them motherfuckers started off with, and I know he was talking about me. Who else could he be talking about? It's so funny to me how motherfuckers think the shoe fit and they go ahead and slide their foot right in it. That's hilarious to me. All three of them are bozos though. But that was a very funny thing that I recognized this morning, or at the point in times I was watching those clips. But at the end of the day, I think Draymond was right. I think KD kind of got in his feelings, but I'm not really mad at KD for getting into his feelings, and I kind of understand it. The people who saying, oh, Draymond Green exaggerated, I don't agree with that either. I think you and your feelings too, and you doing some of that generational dick riding. It was a dude on Twitter who I had to unfollow him because it was just wild, the generational dick riding he was on. Because like I said, I'm a KD fan. If you listen to me all year, multiple videos, you already know I love KD. This motherfucker said that Kevin Durant never get his credit because he carried Russell Westbrook to the finals, a dude that LeBron can't even carry to the playoffs. And I said, it is no fucking way. Because I didn't want to respond at first. Because I'm the type of motherfucker who will, for one, it's nothing you're going to say to me that's going to influence me to respond. I done had some of the most vicious shit said to me by some of my exes. And getting through that shit is truly nothing you can say. I done been in anger management counseling. I done all this type of shit. It's truly, you could talk shit about my mom, and that will do nothing to me. Like, it's really nothing you gonna say about me that's gonna bother me. I'm really one of them people. You could talk shit about my kids, and you could viciously mean it. Like, fuck your kid, your kids will not bother me. That's how confident and secure and not bothered and secure I am in myself. But that's how so unbothered I am by people's words and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it don't do nothing for me. Especially seeing as how growing up being in different type of fighting classes and fighting trainings and doing all these different type of fightings my whole life. Most of the people who will beat your ass don't really do a lot of that talking shit. And they definitely not some of the most disrespectful motherfuckers you'll ever see. I'm just I'm just saying. But hold up for a quick second. Bro, it's unbelievable to me how fast Coca-Cola loses. Now, listen, we was just talking about sodas. Listen to me, though. I'm not drinking a Coke right now. I'm just saying, I'm thinking about an experience I had earlier today when the only thing I had to... Because it was hot as fuck earlier today, bro. I don't know if anybody know that. It was hot as a motherfucker earlier today. And I was, doing my shits. And I was sweating, all week I've been sweating bullets because I've been having to work outside. So I've been drenched in sweat when I get inside. You know how, like, when you working in a real hot environment, drenched in sweat, and then you go to a cold environment that's like real cold, and how that make your body feel, and like that's disgusting. I just hate that feeling. But it's been hot as hell the last couple days. But do anybody notice when you pour a soda into like a cup or something, it loses fizz? Especially like Cokes, bro. And if a Coke start off cold and get hot or lukewarm, it instantly become like disgusting. For one, I think Coca-Cola is nasty anyways. I felt that way my entire life. Coca-Cola Cherry is a good drink. I used to think it was a good drink, but it loses fizz so much, bro. The first time I had Coca-Cola Cherry was at Hardee's, bro. I was like, yo, this the best motherfucking drink I done ever had in my life. But cherry Pepsi tastes better. Not only that, Pepsi is far better than Coke. Like, people who say Coke and Pepsi taste the same, you might be on crack or something, or you might got COVID where it fucking up your taste or something, because they definitely don't taste the same. I didn't like Pepsi at first. I love Pepsi. Now, I don't drink them all the time or nothing like that, but I could drink a Pepsi. Like, dead ass. Pepsi, I could go out and drink. Pepsi might be a top 5 soda to me. Way better than Dr. Pepper. Way better than Coke. But Coke, I drank a Coke the other day. I had one earlier today, but that was a cherry one. That shit lost its fizz so fast because I was sipping on it, but it lost its fizz in like 6 minutes. But I drank a Coke like 3 weeks ago, bro. I remember like it was just I was working outside, and the person who I was working for was like, yo, yeah, y'all want something to drink? And she was like, all I got is cold Cokes. And at first I was like, I really don't want no Coke. And I was like, in my head, I was like, man, I could probably just wait till I'm off this job and I could go to the store and get me something to drink. But I was so fucking hot and thirsty, bro. I was like, fuck it. I opened the Coke. It was cold. Bro, 2 sips in, I was like, man, I'm not drinking this bullshit. Coke is so disgusting to me, bro. I don't know how y'all do it, but Coke is disgusting. And I had somebody tell me once. It was a white dude. He told me one time, he a big steak guy. He said that steak, I even had my best friend E tell me this before, that Pepsi tastes great. No, I don't think it was E who told me. Either way, I done had somebody tell me before, a homie tell me, that the best drink with a steak is Pepsi. And the best drink with a burger is a Pepsi. He might be on to something. And I had some shit the other day. I had some bourbon chicken over some fried rice with some mashed potatoes and gravy. And I think I had a fruit punch at first with it. And I was like, man, this fruit punch really, because I'm a big fruit punch type of motherfucker. And I was like, this fruit punch ain't really. I hate it when I drink a fruit punch that's on some weird shit, yo. Like a fruit punch that's basically a tropical punch. For one, if you give me a fruit punch that's got pineapples in it, I love pineapples. If it's got pineapples in it, that's instantly a tropical punch, bro. That's not a fruit punch, for one. Do not put pineapples in my fruit punch, please. But on top of that, as I was drinking that fruit punch, I was like, man, you know what would taste good with this? What would taste better with this shit? A fucking Pepsi. And so I went and got one. And damn it, the fucking Pepsi, man. I just shout out Pepsi, bro. I gotta give Pepsi their credit, bro. I'm one of them motherfuckers who done came around, as they say on the Pat McAfee show. Came around. I came around. I came around. Y'all like that? Around. Y'all like that shit right there. But listen, I done came around on like shit like McDonald's. Like I said, I hated McDonald's for so long. McDonald's deserved them M's. I saw that doc. I think I done talked about that before. I'm not finna rehearse it. Re-go back over it. But listen, let's hop back into sports, man, because I was supposed to be telling y'all why I think what's the key to victory for the Boston Celtics. The more and more I've been thinking about this series, and maybe it's just because it's so far away, the more and more I've been actually leaning towards Boston to win this in 7. But I'm not flipping my pick. I'm almost at the point where I want to say that it's going to be Warriors in 7. Because I have, I've been listening to some shit the last couple days from people who done been very convincing. And I am at the point now where I do think the size of of the Celtics could play a huge factor in this series. The thing that's keeping me from switching from Golden State to the Celtics is for the simple reason, at the end of the day, the Celtics still only have one guy who can get them there. Jaylen Brown being the best player on your team is not beating the Warriors. Neither is Marcus Smart. Now Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Tatum, all balling out. Yes, that will get them a win in this series, I believe. But the thing is, and one of the biggest reasons it's hard for me to switch from Golden State to the Celtics, but why it's kind of easy for me to add on another game instead of Golden State in 6, Golden State in 7, is because I do think that the Celtics are going to win one of these first 2 games. I don't know if it's going to be game 1. I don't know if it's going to be game 2. But I actually think they're going to win one of these games in Golden State. Now, one of the reasons I think they're going to win one of these games in Golden State is because they have to. Because I think Golden State is definitely winning one of them games in Boston. But it's really a funny thing because Boston done lost a lot of games at home this year in the playoffs, but they done won a lot of road games. And Golden State done won a road game in every series and haven't lost at home. So it's funny because for Golden State, I could say they done won road games in every series, and it's no negative when I go back to their home record. But I say Boston been great on the road, but then I turn around and say, well, they done been bad at home too. So that's the funny thing going into the series. Now, the reason that I done almost persuaded myself with some help from other people that I've been listening to go to Boston is because I do think Boston play a great defense and all that. And I truly believe, because to me, the biggest factor in this series to me is not going to just simply be the defense. Because as good as Boston's defense is, I just think the Warriors' offense is just, it's one of those things where it can make defenses look like they just simply do not matter at times. Like, the fucking Grizzlies played great defense against the Warriors, but the Warriors are so great at executing through this system, and that they still were able to find ways to win because of the dudes there know how to execute, and everybody in the system buy in and know what they're doing. So as much as I love Boston's defense, and I love Jason Tatum as an individual defender, I love Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and all these other dudes as individual defenders. But in the back of my head, maybe in the front, whichever, who knows, I know that I know there will be games in which the Boston Celtics defense does not look as good as it actually is. Because no defense usually looks as good as it usually is against the Warriors 4 times. Because that's how it's got to be. It's got to be great for 4 games against the Warriors. And it's going to have to show up. Now, the thing with Golden State is another thing that kind of scares me. They don't start off good. Golden State, like I said, they get hot in the 3rd, 4th quarters, but they don't usually start off good. And the crazy thing about that is, because I want to say Boston going to take advantage. Boston start off good, and they don't close good. And they almost close as bad as Golden State open. I mean, they let so many leads just disappear. And to me, that's one of the things that saved them. One of the things that saved them in the series against Miami, because they did give up their lead so many times and blew leads and whatnot and made these games harder than they had to be. One of the reasons they were able to survive that is because of the lack of efficiency, of the lack of scoring, the lack of efficient scoring, the lack of it being more than one scorer on that team of Miami is why Boston was able to survive. Because if they had those type of droughts against Milwaukee, who again was a team with one scoring option, then I just think you could possibly be dealing with a different type of situation. And truly, it was a blessing that Brooklyn is as bad a team as they was throughout this year and was relying on Kevin Durant and Kyrie to just be better than teams to succeed. People don't talk about that enough, but unless it's, for a point that they trying to make. But either way, Boston's defense, as good as it is, and as good as I think it'll be in this series, I just think when you match up against the Heat didn't properly take advantage of Miami's now I think Boston's defense against Milwaukee was better than it was against Miami. I thought against Milwaukee, their defense, now I don't know if it was them not really recognizing Jimmy Butler's greatness or not looking at him the way they look at Giannis. Don't know, don't care. Don't think it was as good as in that series don't think that series, in the series against Milwaukee, I thought their defense was far better than it was against Miami. But Miami couldn't exploit it because they couldn't get scoring most of that series from nowhere, which is still crazy to me that series went 7 games. Like, it's absolutely wild to me that series went 7 games when Miami had one primary scorer. And you look at the Jimmy Butler, bro, they was going under screens for him, letting him just have space to shoot the ball and shit. Like, there was games where they didn't even fear Jimmy Butler as a scorer. That's just not going to happen against Golden State. Clay, Dray, Steph, Poole, Wiggs. It's so many different Loon. It's so many different guys who can be scoring threats because of the system that Golden State run. That I just think that will provide such a difference in contrast to what the Celtics have seen so far in this postseason. Because, like, for example, and I understand I'm supposed to be telling you the keys to victory for the Celtics, and I am, but I'm just alluding. I just want to point out that you face Jimmy Butler. That's the primary scorer, right? The next best scorer on that team supposedly is Bam Adebayo. Okay, you match him up against the Warriors' second best scorer, Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson. Okay, you're taking Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson in that instance. Okay, well, let's say Bam not the second best scorer. You say Tyler Hero is the second best scorer. Okay, you're not taking Tyler Hero over Poole or Klay Thompson. Okay, well, let's go to Milwaukee. Okay, you got Milwaukee. The second best scorer in that series is Drew Holiday. You're not taking Drew Holiday as a scorer over Poole or Klay Thompson. Okay, you say in that series against Boston, they blitz KD and do all that. Okay, the second best scorer is Kyrie, who is fasting. And listen, I'm going to just put it like this for people who are just so bothered by the Kyrie thing. What he was doing was his religion. Now, I don't personally agree with this, but somebody did tell me this other day, and I guess I'll use it. What Kyrie did, whether it was for his religion or his beliefs or not, there's no excuses for it, because that was a self decision, a choice. Nobody forced him to do that. Nobody told him he had to do that. That was his choices to do what he did. So if you say his Kyrie struggles were on Kyrie, and to an extent I do agree with that. I don't want to never question nobody what people do for their religions and things of that nature. But at the base of what he is saying, that is a very true statement. I'll just say I'm saying it because I don't want to throw him under the bus. That's why I'm not gonna say people. I don't say people's names. But the base of what he was saying is true. Kyrie bad games and whatnot is technically on Kyrie. It's nothing else but Kyrie at the base of it all. And so you look at him and what he produced in that series. You're not taking him over Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson right now. You can make an argument for Klay because how Klay struggled throughout some of these series, but I'm not taking him over either one of them two dudes right now. Especially seeing as how Jordan Poole and Klay is doing exactly what I would get out of Kyrie. So for Boston, this is a completely different team when you look at who is the second. It's easy to look great as a defender when you do defending guys like Drew Holiday, Wesley Matthews, Brook Lopez, Tyler Hero, who hurt, Bam Adebayo, who refuses to score, PJ Tucker, fucking Max Strus, banged up Kyle Lowry, who nowhere near the Kyle Lowry he used to be scoring wise. Like, to me, that's just way different than what you finna face against the Warriors and all the things that they can bring at you. You're not finna play a washed up Andrew Wiggins or a fucked up Andrew Wiggins or a banged up Andrew Wiggins for that. You know what I'm saying? You're not finna get that out of Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's the thing that scared me for Boston. But the keys to them winning is if they played, and that's probably why it's so hard for me to really truly get into it. Because I want to believe what I'm saying. But every time I want to commit to this is how Boston can win this series for definitive. Because I don't think this is not a series that they can't win. But just based off of what I've seen, it's so hard for me to. It's not hard for me to pick them going 7. Because I think they're the type of team that can push a team 7. But man, it's hard for me to. Because at the end of the day, Jason Tatum will have to be insanely great just all series. And I understand how big Tatum is and how people believe that, you know, he bigger than there, but they have people who they can put on him. It's just simple. They have people who can put on him, and Tatum has struggled throughout this playoff series in Atlanta. He up and down, I love Jason Tatum. He been up and down. We done talked about his lack of aggressiveness at times. And I think right now the Celtics are at a point. Some of the reasons they runs look so bad is because they haven't been there, done that, and learned from this type of thing. Curry, I talked about how Curry and these dudes know not to die by the 3 anymore. How they used to be, like if the 3 not falling, we have no other way of beating a team. Now, We can beat you with the 3. We can beat you going inside. We can beat you with the mid-range. We can beat you in transition. We are not a one-dimensional team. We do not have one way of beating a team. We done morphed into a team that can beat you in so many ways because of what we do on offense, because of how players buy into the system, because of how our superstar is not self-absorbed in me. Because of how smart the organization is and how brilliant they are at developing and making the right picks, because of our other stars on the team being patient and our superstar being patient and allowing us to develop and do all these other type of things. Went off on a little tirade right there. But you get what I'm saying. But those, that's what's kind of hard for me to pick against the Warriors, because at the end of the day, Jason Tatum and these boys just got out of 2 7-game series. I understand they done had like 4 or 5 days off. They're still naturally going to be tired. They're still naturally going to be feeling those 7-game series. But on top of that, now he got to go do it again. Now he and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and all the boys, and as great as the defense is, you're still going to have to score some points. Like, I understand as great as their defense is, like I said, the benefit of playing Miami was that they just could not score. They did not have the horses or the players or the personnel to be able to compete scoring-wise, and to go on those type of droughts. They did not have the scoring to be able to bring them back from those type of droughts. They had to rely on the fact that Boston just plays atrocious down the stretch. That's what they had to rely on. I don't think Boston can rely on this team just playing bad. Like, I just don't think that's something that they can do. If their goal is to just rely on this team not being able to score like Miami couldn't score against us, and relying on this team to go through shooting droughts like Miami went through, I think that's a rough way to, think you're going to win a championship. I truly believe Boston is going to have to find a way to be able to put up points at an efficient rate and at a consistent rate. And I don't know how they, do that at the moment, because I do think Golden State is the far better offensive-minded team. They have a better offensive system, in my opinion. They have the better. I saw somebody say they got Boston had a better bench. No, they don't. They don't have the. Either way, I think this series could get. And people really underselling Golden State's defense tremendously, but it's so hard for me. Like, I can see Tatum and Brown trying to grit out a fucking win, but I can also see this just being so fucking draining, trying to win against a machine like the Warriors. And the defense that's played in game 1 won't be the same defense that's played in game 2, won't be the same defense that's played in game 3, it won't be the same defense that's played in game 4, because that's what the Warriors do to you. You can't, it's no way you could. That's why I'm so impressed with the defense the Cavaliers was able to play against the Warriors on a night-to-night basis. But that's because they had dudes that was completely bought in and sold into, and plus that was really a defensive-minded team that was led by LeBron. But the Celtics are a big team, and I think that's what they really gonna have to rely on. My only problem with that also is, aside from the fact that I don't think the Warriors play a game in which size could matter that much, unless these dudes is really able to defend and get home and like defend the greatest, because they're gonna have to legitimately be one of the greatest defensive efforts we've ever seen, basically smothering defense for 4 wins. If that happens, then cool, it is what it is. It's so hard to see that happening for a whole series, and then them being able to get away with, not over fouling and stuff like that. Because sometimes when Boston come off of these screens or running around screens and shit, Marcus Smart get a little too wild with it. I also think one of the things that's going to be interesting in watching this series is how they call Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is a very interesting player to watch, because it's like his first instinct is always to flop. Like, and that's probably why he hurt right now. His first instinct is always to flop. And so depending on how the ref is calling the game or seeing what he doing, because there's going to be a lot of calls that they get on Golden State from just Marcus Smart over-exaggerating things like throwing his body in the air and throwing his arms and his body up and shit like that he going to get calls on like illegal screens, or obviously he going to get called for some offensive for charges, and he'll going to get charges called for him and shit like that. I think the thing is, though, if they turn Marcus Smart into legitimately just a defender, it will be unbelievably tough for the Celtics to win this this series. I already think it's going to be tough because Marcus Smart is not a scorer. He a dude who can give you a hot game here or there. Jaylen Brown is the one who's the streaky one who can go on these hot streaks, but for the most part, he a streaky shooter because he's not legitimately a scorer and he's not a good shooter. It's like Jason Tatum's not a shooter, he's a scorer. He's a multi-level scorer. He can score from 3, he can score from the mid-range, he can score inside. Jaylen Brown is a hot, he got to be on a streak. Usually his buckets come in a streak, but it's never like, oh, he can give you here, right there. You know what I'm saying? He too iffy with it. He too off and on, too hot and cold with it because he's not really a legit shooter. He's not a true shooter. And I don't think he's a legitimate scorer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly believe Jaylen Brown should be the third best team on this, the third best player on the Celtics. My only thing with Jaylen, the only reason he not is because his mentality. Jaylen Brown is so aggressive and so, I understand on a championship team, some of the shots Jaylen Brown take would, probably get him benched or upset a lot of people because they would be unnecessary when you got 2 other players that's better than you that should be taking the shots. But because he is technically the second best player on his team, there's a lot of shots that he takes that I really don't like him taking all the time. But because he is an aggressive, streaky shooter, I understand these are shots he have to take to get in his rhythm. My biggest problem with Jaylen Brown going into this finals, because I'm pretty sure Jaylen Brown would be aggressive. My 2 things is the fucking clutch free throws, my guy. Because obviously I'm rooting for Golden State, but you know what I'm saying, I just want dudes the ball. Got to do better with them clutch free throw misses that you be having, and the turnovers, man. Jaylen Brown and losing the ball, bro. Like he got to be better with being able to control the ball. I burnt the fuck out of my thumb just now, homie. He got to be better with controlling the ball and whatnot. I think one of the biggest problems that Boston is going to face in this series is the fact that they don't have a floor general. Marcus Smart not a floor general. Neither is Jason Tatum. Neither is Jaylen Brown. They just put in these roles because they are the best players on their team and they don't have that player. And because they don't have that player, that's why you can go on some of these runs where they go scoreless for so long or they can't find a way to score. Because once teams figure out how to stop the ISO ball from Tatum and Brown, and once Tatum starts shooting, his shooting struggles start, and once Brown is off of his hot streak and he done started going iffy with the shots and shit, it's easy to come back because they don't have a floor general that can reset everything, calm shit down, get people easy looks, and things of that nature. They have to rely on defenses breaking down. And like I said, Miami not being able to shoot, which is, I keep reiterating, it's just not something they're going to be able to do in this series. But because of that, it's just so hard for me to see them, winning this series. Not saying it's not hard for me to see them having a long series. Now, the only way I see this series going short, 5 games, 4 games, I don't see 4 games. The only way I can see this being a quick gentleman sweep is if Golden State is just coming out firing. If Golden State shooting a high percentage in every single game, it's a good chance Golden State going to end this thing quick. Because if Golden State is scoring at a high clip with Clay, Dray, Steph, Poole, Wiggs, Loon, if all these dudes is giving you 20 plus a night and whatnot, yeah, it's just going to be too tough for that's why the Celtics are going to have to rely so heavily on their defense. They legitimately going to have to be perfect because they just don't have the scoring to be able to match Golden State if Golden State is shooting the ball at a high clip and shooting the ball good. They don't have the scores to be able to compete with that. So they have to play great defense. And I just think it's so hard in today's sports to rely on a defense to be able to get you there. That's why I say defense got to be played great in spots. If the biggest thing is people relying on Jason Tatum to basically go crazy every game, and for the defense to like legitimately be great every game, even though it just went 7 with Miami, then I just think that's a lot to ask for, because you're not asking Curry to be great every game. You asking Curry to be the leader, to do what he do, but everybody else is going to show up. That's actually an expectation for the Warriors. Everybody else got to do their jobs, because this team ain't set up for just Steph Curry to go crazy. We set this thing up for Steph Curry, and that's even bigger for Steph Curry, because he had the faith that, okay, we're not going to just make this team me ISOing everybody to death. I'm going to trust that everybody else that y'all get in here is going to do their thing part, and we're going to be the greatest team. And I'll get all my accolades that come with that. So if the Warriors come out and they play great team ball, which I have no doubt they will, but you know, like I say, make a miss league. If they making a lot of shots, it's going to be tough for Boston to win a series in which Golden State is scoring the ball at a high clip, because I just don't think they had the bodies to be able to compete with that type of scoring that Golden State can present. Even with the defense that they have, Golden State have a great defense too. So what happened when they both get into defensive lockouts? I still have faith the Warriors will figure out ways to get back into the game and find ways to score again, because of their team and their offensive ball movement and their offensive system. Jason Tatum, if he's struggling, it's hard for me to believe if his team down, that just him by himself against the Warriors, because it'd be different if it was against Miami, who can't figure out ways to score. You can go on these long droughts like they did in like games 5, where nobody can score, and because Miami is so bad at scoring, you can wait till Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and somebody else find a way to get hot, because you have more talent on your team. You have the more capable scorers. I don't know if necessarily want to say the more reliable scorers, but you have the more capable scorers who can. And I also don't think that this series will be what it was for them against Miami. Against Miami, they was able to just drive against Miami every single fucking time they wanted to. I just don't think that's going to be this series. I do think they'll have their opportunities to be able to drive when they get mismatches. I don't think this is about to be a series full of them driving. I actually think Baltimore. I actually think Golden State gonna do a lot of baiting them into 3-pointers, specifically Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. I almost believe that Golden State might try to play this almost similar to how they played Luka. They're gonna devote a lot of attention on Jason Tatum to make sure he don't go crazy. But I think they're going to let dudes handle Brown. And as long as you got a big dude on Brown who he can't just blow past, I think you'll be fine with that matchup. And I actually think Curry on Marcus Smart will be a fine matchup, because I don't believe they'll let Marcus Smart just run over Curry and shit like that. Plus, with the help and knowing Curry, how smart he is with this type of thing, I truly believe the matchup for Golden State, or the game plan for Golden State, will be heavily centered around not letting Jason Tatum go crazy. Because if Jason Tatum don't go crazy, the Celtics ain't winning. They just don't have enough to be able to win games against this type of team if Jason Tatum is not going crazy. Not only will he have to go crazy, I actually do think Jason Tatum might have to be efficient in this series. The only way he won't have to be efficient is if Golden State struggles shooting. Because Golden State can struggle shooting and still win. I don't think that Boston can struggle shooting and win these games, just because they don't have the offensive weaponry and because of what's on the other side offensively. This ain't Max Strus and Kyle Lowry on his last leg in them boys. No, this ain't a Jimmy Butler who only trying to shoot 2 mid-range and get to the line. This is a Golden State team that can light your ass up from downtown, mid-range, get inside for easy. They a multi-scorer team. So this ain't the series where Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown can shoot their team out of games, or Jason Tatum can just be iffy in the 4th and 3rd quarter and not really do much, and you go away with wins. That's just not going to happen. If they play as bad as they play in these last quarters in this series, this will be a short series. Because Golden State is for one, Steph Curry done been the best 4th quarter player in the playoffs this year. He done been the best clutch time player in the playoffs. I can already hear the LeBron fan. That's because LeBron not in the playoffs. It's got nothing to do with me, buddy. But if it come down to fourth quarter, and Boston is terrible in these games decided in clutch time. If this series, and it's, Boston is really going to have to ask a lot. I don't think it's right as far as like what's about to be asked of Jason Tatum and what's going to happen to him when I believe they lose this series. Jason Tatum is going to be drained after this series. Just because of how great Golden State can score the ball. Because listen, I understand people talking about defense. I get that. If the refs don't allow them to play defense as physical as they played against Miami, then that defense is going to take a notch down. Because now they lower the level of physicality you can play with. The defense is also going to be tired because they don't run around against Miami and in Brooklyn and against Milwaukee like they're about to do against Golden State. So I understand the greatness of Boston's defense, but defense is not, like I said multiple times, that's not going to take them to the championship. Defense and spots can win it for you. But that's not going to be the end-all, be-all. They had better defense, so they're going to beat the Warriors. That's not going to happen because, for one, the Warriors play great defense also. So that's not going to happen. Defense is not going to be the one thing that decides the series. You're going to have to score some points. And so if Boston cannot figure out ways to score when the game get gritty, when the game get ugly, because I think people naturally think Boston going to be the better team in those type of moments because they're the bigger team. But that has not been the case throughout Boston's season. So I really do believe that the pressure that's about to be on Jason Tatum is really going to be unfair. But he's the best player on the team. And while I understand why people think Boston is a great team, and I think Boston is a good team, I just truly think this could be a series where they expose Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. And in a way show you that Tatum is great, but he is not yet at that level where he can lead a team to a championship win. Because I love Tatum. I don't think his scoring yet is at the level. And he is a great scorer. He could shut me up. He could go out there and average 30-plus points. But I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for Tatum this round. Because I think they'll have an easier time defending him than they did Luka, just based off of how much more aggressive Luka is. I truly believe that. And if Tatum what some people not realizing is, Tatum's not going to be able to take breaks in this next series. Neither is Brown, neither is Marcus Smart. They're not going to have these breaks on the court where they don't have to really defend against people because they're playing against bad players and players who can't score, players who are incapable of scoring. So Tatum's going to be tired in this game having to play both ends of the floor. Golden State is not asking Andrew Wiggins to go out there and drop 20-plus points a game. He can lock fully into defending Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown if they decide to do that. He's not going to have to be forced to go score a bunch of points and then go lock up the best player on the team. Jason Tatum is going to be asked to play great defense on one end of the floor by locking Klay Thompson or Wiggins or Curry up and giving me 20-plus points on the other end of the floor. That is a lot to ask of Jason Tatum, especially when I like Jaylen Brown, but he's not an efficient scorer. He's not a scorer or a great shooter. He's just a very aggressive, streaky guy at times. And Marcus Smart is not a scorer or a shooter at all. He can get hot once in a blue moon. But so when you got that type of team, and the majority of everybody else can get hot every once in a while, Derek White, I guess, but this is a defensive-minded team for the most part, it's very tough to ask Jason Tatum to go out there and basically give me 40-plus points a game. Because I think that might be what he have to do to beat the Warriors. I truly do. But we'll get more into it tomorrow after Game 1 of the NBA Finals. With that, I do appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. It was a long episode tonight. I like that. I could have kept going, to be honest with you. I got a lot of bullets left in the chamber, to be completely honest. Did y'all see that shit where Buddy told what's my man name? Tank, after the fight, when Tank said, I got ammunition or whatever, and bruh took the mic and was like, nah, we don't want to allude to that right now. Bro, what's up with this guy, bro? What's up with this guy? But listen, man, tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him, man. Give my Dukes a kiss on the cheek. Dap up your pops. Go text your best friends. You fuck with them, man. Go out there, make somebody's day, make somebody smile. I fuck with you, I love you. Saint out.
Hey, right out. Got my niggas in the bag blowing white outs. We gon' pump this shit real deep into the night hours. Keep it 199, just ain't my style. Seen the time, staring out the window of the night route. They never ever understood for the most part. Hey, wonder how them niggas treated Mozart. Hey, did they try to put him on the Zoloft? Oh nah, I was penalized for being too alive. 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 I was